Hey, look! Our very own billionaire King Charles, billionaire, who's exempt from so many taxes: inheritance tax. His profits from the duchies of Cornwall and Lancaster are exempt from capital gains tax and corporation tax. And by the way, they profit from the NHS, and army and cancer charities. But Sarah Vine from the Daily Mail, who called me a bottom feeder once, she wants to talk about Meghan Sussex, her new holiday show on Netflix, how her hair's wrong, her eyeshadow's wrong, she doesn't let the king see the grandkids, lies. And she hasn't really talked about Prince Andrew and his scandal with pedophile Jeffrey Epstein. It's pretty bizarre, isn't it? No criticism of William, no criticism of Charles, no criticism of any of them profiting from this country while 4 million children live in poverty. But their target is Meghan Sussex. Wild.
And of course the photographs were a setup. I was set up by a guy named Jeff Rayner and another guy named Dylan Howard, who was with American Media, I think. And the whole thing was a plan to actually mess up the wedding. I was just part of it, basically.
The royals only.
Setup.
Did it feel like betrayal when you found out your father was working with the tabloids?
I'm just trying to decide if I'm comfortable even talking about that. If we're going to use the word betrayal, it's because when I asked him, when we were told by the comms team this is a story that was going to be coming out, which, by the way, the tabloids had apparently known for a month or so and decided to hold until the Sunday before our wedding because they wanted to create drama, which is also a really key point in all this. They don't report the news, they create the news. We called my dad and I asked him, and he said, no, absolutely not. And I said, you know, the institution has never intervened for anything for us, but they can try to go in and kill this story. But if they do this once, we're not going to be able to use that same leverage to protect our own kids one day.
He said, no, absolutely not. He hadn't been talking to them?
Yeah.
So he basically lied to you.
Well, and so when I said we won't be able to protect our own kids one day, and I said, so I just need you to tell me, and if you tell me the truth, we can help. And he wasn't able to do that. And that for me has really resonated, especially now as a mother. You know.
Not being... Did it...
I should mention the story on the front page of the Mail today, which is all about this poor guy, Meghan's father. I say poor guy because they've obviously not had much contact. Thomas Markle, and apparently very unwell, in intensive care in the Philippines, has been estranged from the couple since their marriage in 2018. Did he come to the wedding or not? I can't remember, actually.
No, he was not.
I think he was ill.
Why is that front page news? What is wrong with us in this country?
What is he doing in the
front page
Philippines?
news?
I think are we interested in him? I don't know.
I'm interested in why he's in the Philippines. Has he moved there?
Well, no, he's got connections there, I think, and he's cheaper.
I wish the front pages were dedicated to stuff that actually matters to people and not the stuff that you're being told to be angry.
Also, who told the newspaper? Has he sold that story too? Is he trying to make money?
The way journalism works is they put on their front page things that will make people read the article. There's no, they're not doing this for fun. So they're doing this because they think that is more interesting to people than the price of bread.
But it's also because, let's be honest, who owns our newspapers, Jeremy?
No.
Who owns our newspapers?
That's not why it is.
Yes, it is. They want to sell newspapers, absolutely, but they also want to, control national discourse. They trade in a currency of fear and hate, and people love to vilify Meghan Markle.
Meghan Markle is on the Daily Mail website. Is something that always gets high volumes.
Yeah, but that supports.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Marina's
so that's what the people want. They're giving the people.
Yeah, but that's because they put a target on her back, and it's like someone for them all to just coalesce and hate around.
Ouch, my love. So Sarah Vine slags off Meghan Sussex, who takes nothing from taxpayers, whilst billionaire King Charles is exempt from paying taxes, and his brother is embroiled in a pedophile scandal. My loves, Narinder Kaur is right. My love, Thomas Markle fits right in with the royal family. The only difference is Thomas is not a taxpayer-funded billionaire. The Markles are as disloyal, as fame-hungry, as popularity-obsessed as the Windsors. Thomas and Charles sold their children to the UK media for respective favors. Why does Thomas Markle's illnesses only appear when something good is happening to his daughter? Wedding, baby, launch of TV show, and always designed to cause maximum chaos. Charles cut Harry and Meghan's security when they needed it the most, when they were getting targeted by white supremacists. And Thomas accepted money to lie about his daughter and feed her to sick people. Harry and Meghan have the worst fathers. There was a royal state dinner on Wednesday which cost millions. However, the Daily Mail benched coverage of this for its front page in favor of a Meghan Sussex, Thomas Markle story because even though they're patriotic, their patriotism means demonizing Meghan is more important than puffing up the royal family. It's not a coincidence this was timed with her Christmas show being released yesterday to add some toxicity to coverage of this, or that the source is the Daily Mail reporter turned friend of Thomas who is determined to lure Meghan to contact Leaky Thomas. Insightfully flags on the Jeremy Vine show that this Meghan story did not deserve a front page, but having put a target on Meghan's back, this is the tabloids controlling national discourse and how we think about the people they target. This is spot on, and this is largely done by the tabloids through negative, cynical commentary rather than the news, which in most cases is misinformation or news out of context. The entire landscape around these moments becomes richer, darker, and even more revealing when studied carefully. Each sentence exposes an extraordinary mixture of hypocrisy, double standards, and a national media machine that thrives on manipulating public emotion like a puppeteer yanking strings. The selective outrage becomes almost theatrical, as if intentionally staged to keep certain individuals untouchable while ensuring Meghan remains under relentless fire. This is where the spectacle becomes almost grotesque, because every criticism leveled at Meghan is not only exaggerated, but constructed to distract from the corruption, scandals, and decay at the heart of the institution the tabloids exist to protect. Sarah Vine's insults do not emerge from an innocent place. They flourish within a long-established ecosystem that punishes independent women, especially those who refuse to remain silent, submissive, or compliant. Her decision to slag off Meghan, someone who takes absolutely nothing from taxpayers, stands in staggering contrast to a billionaire monarch who not only doesn't pay tax, but inherited wealth and privilege on a scale ordinary citizens cannot begin to comprehend. Yet he remains shielded. He remains polished. He remains sanitized. Meanwhile, Meghan is expected to withstand infinite scrutiny for simply existing, breathing, succeeding, or being seen. The irony becomes almost poetic. A woman who contributes nothing to the public burden receives mountains of hostility, whereas a king who contributes nothing to the public purse receives endless loyalty. My Love's Narinder Kaur is right to highlight this because it reveals the breathtaking hypocrisy embedded in British commentary. The rage isn't about money, duty, or tradition. It's about maintaining a hierarchy in which certain individuals are expected to suffer silently while others float free above criticism. And when reflecting on Thomas Markle, the comparison becomes almost eerie. He fits right in with the royal family, not because he carries status or wealth, but because he carries the same hunger for attention, the same willingness to throw his own child under the bus to win favor with the press. The only difference is that Thomas is not a taxpayer-funded billionaire, yet the behavior echoes precisely the patterns that have existed for generations in the Windsors: transactional parenthood, selective affection, and emotional manipulation offered in exchange for positive press or institutional approval. The Markles and the Windsors begin to mirror each other in ways that would shock anyone not paying close attention. The parallels become harder to ignore. The desperation for relevance, the obsession with public adoration, the fragile egos that depend on headlines for validation, they belong to both families. And when considering the sacrifices demanded of Harry and Meghan, the magnitude of betrayal leaps off the page. Thomas and Charles both sold their children to the UK media for respective favors. One did it for sympathy, access, and cash. The other did it for reputation, protection, and an institution whose survival relies heavily on sacrificing pieces of family life to the tabloids. Then comes the pattern that repeats like a silent alarm triggered behind closed doors. Why does Thomas Markle's illnesses only appear when something good is happening to his daughter? Wedding, baby, launch of TV show. Every milestone becomes overshadowed by his sudden crises, and the timing feels too precise, too convenient, almost choreographed to maximize disruption. The illnesses appear as if summoned on cue, an emotional weapon designed to cause maximum chaos, to drain joy from every moment the world should be celebrating. Meanwhile, Charles pulled something far more sinister. He cut Harry and Meghan's security when they needed it the most, when they were being targeted by white supremacists. It was not a neutral administrative decision. It was punitive. It was calculated. It was dangerous. And the consequences could have been catastrophic. In the same breath, Thomas accepted money to lie about his daughter, offering her up to strangers, gossips, and hateful individuals who used those lies to justify threats and harassment. Both men made choices that placed their children in direct harm. It creates a haunting truth. Harry and Meghan have the worst fathers. And while this unfolds, Britain's media continues orchestrating its own symphony of distortion. There was a royal state dinner on Wednesday which cost millions. Yet the Daily Mail benched coverage of this for its front page in favor of a Meghan Sussex, Thomas Markle story. The reason is not subtle. Even though they claim patriotism, their patriotism means demonizing Meghan is more important than puffing up the royal family. Public interest becomes irrelevant. Accuracy becomes irrelevant. National events become irrelevant. Only the chance to attack Meghan holds value. It's not a coincidence this was timed with her Christmas show being released yesterday to add some toxicity to coverage of this. The tactic is familiar. Overshadow her achievements with scandal. Ensure her successes become tainted. Drown any positivity in negativity. And the source? A Daily Mail reporter turned friend of Thomas who is determined to lure Meghan to contact Leaky Thomas. The manipulation runs deep. The behavior flagged on the Jeremy Vine show is powerful. The presenter insightfully shows that this Meghan story did not deserve a front page, but having put a target on Meghan's back, this is the tabloids controlling national discourse and how we think about the people they target. This is spot on. And this is largely done by the tabloids through negative, cynical commentary rather than actual news, which in most cases is misinformation or news dragged violently out of context.